Drawing isn't for everyone. Some people like me freaking suck at it, but regardless, it makes me feel better with all the crap that goes on in life. It is because drawing, like other actions, gives a sense of pleasure and a sort of control. If you can control what you draw, you can control your life, destiny. Even though one can't control their life like one controls a drawing, it's knowing what the end looks like, which gives people peace of mind sometimes. Unfortunately, there is the possibility of being in such a bad state of health that you lose that control. While there are plenty of medical advancements out there to help patients, sometimes it really feels like there's nothing else the patient can do except to stop drawing, or rather living. And this is the portrait of euthanasia. Voluntary euthanasia is defined as the choice of a patient to undergo a painless death because they have an incurable or painful disease. This usually entails removing the patient from life-sustaining medicines or machines. The problem with this definition is that it's so broad, there's conflict about what should qualify as uncurable or painful enough, and even if all the factors justify a patient taking their own life. To answer this, renowned psychology professor Brian Mishara states voluntary euthanasia shouldn't be treated as a situation that has a definite form, but rather an emotional dilemma that should be dealt with case by case. An example of why one might desire euthanasia varies, but they might feel they've lost dignity from being terminally ill. While this might not seem rational to an outsider looking in, there might be emotional pain that the outsider cannot measure. It's explained that the human need for a dignified death is grounded in the psychological impulse to be treated as a human and honored by friends, family, and their society. This is in no means trying to say that euthanasia is justified in all forms, and everyone should want to be euthanized down the road, but rather, as budding adults, we should understand and care about this topic, and support and respect the decision of euthanasia. But why really should we care? Statistics show that hospitalizations during the last 6 months of life are rising, and along with this, only 20 to 30% of Americans report having an advance directive, such as a living will. This means that not only are there more people dying in hospitals, but only a small percent of them have specifically stated if they want to be kept alive in the case of a debilitating or painful health state. Because they don't have a will to specifically outline the end-of-life course of action, it makes it harder for families and physicians to legally take patients off life support or provide alternative means for euthanasia. If the idea that you might be kept alive longer than you want doesn't convince you to start thinking about the future, then maybe imagining family members having to go through drawn-out processes might convince you. Going back to the will part, it isn't exactly something you can write up at 20 or 30 years old, nor is discussing euthanasia something you can bring up at the holidays. But communicating with loved ones about the future, how much you care about them, and how each family member can support everyone's decision gives individuals solidified autonomy. While it might seem like a small step, communicating with family members is the best way to ensure that everyone undergoes the treatment they desire. For those who have ill relatives, knowing how to help in alternative ways before resigning to euthanasia also allows one to be engaged in the topic. Those who might not want to directly address euthanasia with family members can also go to Dignitas, an organization supporting the choice of euthanasia, to be involved in the topic. Student involvement in organizations and movements like this is what legalized the different forms of euthanasia in places like Oregon, Washington, D.C., California, Colorado, Vermont, and Washington. But again, just talking to family members about their desires for the future can help more people pass away how they want to. Death might not be around the corner for everyone, but when you look at dying as your last decision on earth, you would think that it's an important one to consider. For if one does not know what they want their portrait to be, then how can one even begin to draw?